Hey, thanks very much for joining me. I'm Dean, this is Woodwork Journey, and this is a quick intro because I've shot the video already, but I think I should just set some expectations. So, what we're going to be making is this box with the sort of a rustic lid and all that sort of nonsense. It's got a twist turn to open it and close it, and it is what it is. It's not going to be the best box tutorial you've ever seen on YouTube, and the reason for that is this box is for beginners. This is to show that you don't need to have a whole bunch of tools to make something. You don't need to make it really complex with loads of crazy joinery and all that sort of nonsense, but all you do have to do is have an idea and go along with it, and then try and figure out how to fix the mistakes as you go on. But this is what it looks like now, and it's, you know, it's fine and dandy. I could put a magnet on there to stop that doing anything silly, but yeah, it's fine. It's a box. That's what you're going to see. Let's crack on. Okay, so this isn't the most professional way to start a video, I get that, but I've just been watching YouTube and it's just kind of given me an idea about something, because a lot of comments on box making videos, and I've made a couple of boxes, there's one there and one there, which I'm really happy with. But one of the comments is, well, if I had all the tools and stuff, I'd be able to make one as well. So I'm thinking about doing something a little bit different. So if you look over there, that is the wood pile that we have next to the fire. And we haven't started the fire yet, but what I'm wondering is, can I use a bit of that wood to make a box? Well, now I've got down here, I've just realised I probably won't be able to get up again. But you can see the wood that we've got. This has been sitting in here most of the summer, well, since last winter really, because we've not used it. Now, right here, there's a bit that's relatively square. I think I saw a bit over here that looks, yeah, but that's a little bit too thin. We've got a square piece going on right there. But I think, sorry about the noise in the background, that's Pepper eating a chew. I think this, I don't know what wood it is. It's not overly heavy or dense, but that, and I promise you I haven't set this up, that's how it came to us from the place we get our firewood from. So we're going to use this and try and make a box using as few tools as possible and nothing expensive. That's the plan anyway. Right, we're in the shop. I'm using my front-facing camera because I forgot to bring my monitor out with me, and so if the quality is not quite very brilliant, crisp and lovely, then it is what it is. But yeah, this is the piece of wood we've got. I still don't really know what wood it is. I mean, I'm pretty confident it's not oak or anything like that. One of the things that we will have to deal with is, I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but there is some wormholes in the bark there. We'll have to strip the bark off as well. But I don't want to use my table saw or anything that people can say, whoa, I couldn't afford one of them, to make this happen. So there could be problems, but we'll give it a go. And it's not going to be a very big box, obviously, but you know, let's crack on and see what we can do. So first and foremost, I think we've got to get this bark off. I made a handle for this chisel recently. It's relatively sharp, so let's see if we can get this bark off in a fairly easy, straightforward kind of manner. What I'm going to try and do now, we can see that this edge comes out way further, so I'm going to try and see if I can split that all the way down like you would do with an axe. But let's have a go with a chisel. I think we probably need to put a vise on that. What I'm going to do, keeping it cheap, I'm going to use one of these clamps. These were cheap and cheerful. Excuse all this. I've still got the drill to fix, so that's why that's all out. Right. If we do that, we've now got a more stable base to work on. Hopefully. Okay, that's getting there. Progress is being made, but I just want to try and get this as straight as I can with the chisel. Right, so now I think we're getting there, but it is going to have to go in a vise so we can plane it. Now, you could use a stop a clamp to hold it down. You could drill a hole in your worktop and just put a dog in there, or just put a stick in there, put whatever you like in there just to stop it going anywhere. Right, I don't know if this is going to cause us problems. We've got some splits going on right there, which is annoying because it was getting nice and flat. Let's try the other side and see what happens. Okay, I've changed to a number 5. Again, you can find these pretty cheaply, but it was just going to take forever with this one. It could be done, but this is just going to help a little bit more because it's got a bit of weight to it. So it's kind of, it helps you plane when you've got a little bit more weight. I think we've got almost a flat side. There we go. Bit of elbow grease. Actually, now I've got one side relatively flat. You can see that we're not square, not by a long stretch. They're all there. So I am going to try and get this as the face and this is the side and get that squared up. Right, let's see exactly what needs to come off. Well, I mean, that's that's pretty darn close. That's pretty close. Right, I think we might be able to leave it there. So we've got that side is good, tick. That side is good, tick. I think I am going to just clean up this bottom section as well. A little tiny bit more on here. I know I said it was square, but I just want to do a little bit more down the middle. That's not too shabby, I don't think. Good. Right, now this side I'm not going to bother with because we might not use it, and so there's no point in me getting extra hot and sweaty if I don't need to. But let's crack on. We now need to slice some sides off. The one thing we have got, because we use a plane, is I've got 2 sides there that you would think don't need finish really. They're so smooth, they're lovely. But yeah, let's get this divided up and so we can see what we've got to play with. Okay, so excuse the mess once again, but for this I would ordinarily use one of my Japanese pull saws, something like that. But again, keeping it cheap and cheerful. I've not even set the blade on this yet, but this is the one that I restored in a recent video. So we're going to try this. I'm not saying it's definitely going to work, but like I say, because I haven't set the teeth or sharpened anything yet, but we'll give it a go. I'm just going to put some wax on the blade. Like that, just an old night lighted tea light candle, and I've got a line there to try and follow. Let me show you what I'm checking while I'm doing this. So at this point here I'm checking to see if that is running along the line that we want it to run along with, and I'm also checking to see if it's straight with this line as well. I've never cut wood this big to this level of accuracy before, so if it works, it'll be a miracle. Right, I'm just going to see if one of my bigger saws that have rip cut teeth, if the kerf will fit in here. This big old beast of a saw was another car boot find for just a couple of quid. Yeah, there's too much drift there. I'm trying to push it too hard, just so you can see what I'm on about. You see at this bottom piece where it's kind of drifting off to one side? That's not ideal. Annoying though, because this was pretty straight on. So, anyway, it's doable. It's really hard work. Okay, now I don't mean to be defeatist here. I know I could carry on using this, and if you look how far we're going, it's relatively straight. I'm getting a bit of a wobble coming out the other side, which does mean that we're not terrible at that point. We could be a lot worse, but that will need some cleaning up. So what I'm going to do for today is just do it on the bandsaw, but that's just showing you that you could do it if you were cleverer than me and actually sharpened your saws. You could do it with a saw. Bloody hell, I'm still knackered. Right, did I cheat? Yes I did. However, what I did think while I was doing that is, I mean, we can see that we've got sort of kerf issues going on, but I'll manage to fix that hopefully by gluing them up, and we'll sort them out. Not gluing them up, planing them up, because we've got one definite flat side, and that's not looking too shabby. So we'll see what goes on there. Now with the top, that is still lumpy bumpy, and I think I might actually use that for the top of the box, just for a bit of a kind of interest situation, maybe. I don't know. So I'm going to leave that to one side, and I'm going to try. What I need to do really is two sides. If I do two sides, if I do that, then I'm still going to need to have a bottom, which I could cut from here, possibly, or I could cut that down the middle there and then have a real tiny one. No, I think what I'm going to do, we're going to see how it looks when we do this kind of situation. Right, let me tidy up this. This is where having a plane stop on your bench that you can just pop up is super helpful. If you've got a thickness planer, obviously you could do that. Or you could just sand this down, I imagine. Oh, it's getting so thin. That little piece there. Oh, look at it. Oh. Anyway, I'm going to use this for the bottom. I can sand that later. Right, so with this one, we've got this, which is relatively straight. There's a little bit of a step going on right there, but nothing to worry about. That one, there's a little bit of a cup, but nothing, again, to worry about. And this one, we've got this little cut in going on here, and finally we've got this piece, which is the kind of the undulating piece that I want to use for the top. So what I'm going to do, I could do this by planing, I could do this by hand sanding, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to get the orbital sander out. It's just the cheap Erbauer one, and we're going to clean these up. Okay, so here's the plan. So this is the bit with the sort of undulation and what have you, where it had the bark on it. It's a little bit, I'm going to try and sort of take off the scraggy bit. I'm not sure what I should do with that, because I want it to still look sort of rustic and kind of a bit knackered. Do you know what I mean? But one of these pieces is significantly thinner than the others. And you can see that there. This is the one that had the big slices in it. So we're going to use these two for sides, I think. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to cut one of these in half. We'll cut both of them in half. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop these on the shooting board. I'm not going to shoot them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a saw guide, and I'm going to try and straighten up these edges because they're not too clever at the moment. I am going to use my Suizan Dazuki, big one, for this. Okay, they don't have to be perfect, and I'll show you why. But first of all, I'm going to cut that down the middle. It's 20 centimeters in length thereabouts, so I'm going to cut at around about the 10 centimeter mark, like that. I'll mark this one out as well, but it would be good if I could cut them together, but I think that's the least practical way of doing it. So I've got those. Sorry if you can hear the plane going overhead. Not terrible. See if we can do even better on the next one. Don't forget, this could have been done with any crosscut saw. It doesn't have to have been a Dozuki, although I do really like these. Now, something that you do want to do, see this over here? This is from when I was doing the sanding. You want to try and keep all that sawdust in case we need to fill holes later on. So I'm going to put a little pile of it just there. Try not to get any of the big lumps in it. And that's hopefully what we can use if we need to fill holes later. See, what we could be doing is looking for grain direction to see if we can get that to follow. But quite frankly, I don't care. Right, you can see now that this, maybe you can't see, hold on. So this is where I'm going to need to do a bit of thinking. If I was going to just put it together like so, the base might just fit, but the lid is just a bit short. See that? So it's not gonna go from the back all the way to the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that in just a wee bit. So it's going to look, so it's going to be a box a little bit more like that. Okay, so we've got all of the 4 pieces. I've not made them any shorter as yet, but we've got the edges that all need tidying up and getting to be exactly the same height because they're ever so slightly different. So what I want to do is pop them in the vise just like that and then hand plane them flat. Oh no, I dropped my plane and I broke it, so I'll be having to make a new handle for that soon. That's my favourite plane as well. Right, so we've got blowout corners. I'm hoping that we can pretend they don't exist. Right, so what I'm going to look for is the 2 that have got the kind of the dodgiest corners, and those 2 are ones that we've broken out. So if we're going to have a box like this, just thinking that we could do a box so it's all, so the grain is going up for a change. Why don't people do that? Is there a reason for that? I'm going to do the grain going up because screw the rules. So yeah, what we're going to do there is do some of that action, and I'm just going to cut these down a little bit so we can get the lid on properly. So we'll do a bit of the old masking tape and super glue trick, I think. Bosh, some of that on there. Get the old activate all. Some of that on there. Have them both at the same height, or both on something flat. And away we go. Right, now I think I could probably cut, seeing as we've got that breakout there and we've got a little bit of breakout there, we could probably do both sides of it if we were careful. I might have a go. Alrighty, so now we've got rid of those splits that were a bit of a cock up. So now we've got to separate these puppies. Okay, I think we've got a bit of an angle going on. Yeah, we have. I didn't cut that straight. See that angle going off? Yeah, so let's get the sander and just hit that with the sander. And I've just blown all my sawdust away. Bugger! Ah well, we've got a little bit there. So because we're doing as minimal tools as possible, we're not doing any fancy joinery on this, but it's going to be this kind of vibe going on with butt joints. And let's just have a check. yeah, that is more than wide enough for the top and the bottom. Good. Right, let's get this glued up then, shall we? Right, so I'm going to use a couple of these just to get me an idea of square. So you could do whatever you like, but I am going to go with a bead of glue. This is just Type Bond 2. And don't forget we're having the grain facing upwards. I'm putting that along the edge there, but I'm leaving a little bit of a gap at the top and the bottom. And that's because I'm going to put a bit of super glue or CA glue there and there. Okay, so now we can spray a little bit of activator on that, just on the edges. Putting that in the corner, and then I'm pushing that up to it to mate in. And hopefully that corner will glue itself together in a matter of seconds because of the CA glue. Now I can see that I didn't have proper straightness on one of my sides there, but you know, it is what it is, and that's what we've got going on there. Right, so now we're going to do this side. No, we're not. I'm going to build the box. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, all of my cuts were very off, as you can see. But can we still make something rustic out of it? Rustic's the future. I'm just going to use CA glue because zero patience. Okay, got glue everywhere. It's not square. Don't care. It's going to be a box at the end of the day. So as you can see, we've got these kind of really ugly sides going on, and for that what we want to do is just try and mix up a little bit of our own kind of wood glue, which if I'd have had more sawdust left over and not blown it everywhere would come in super handy right about now. Just found a load on the side of my bench. Okay, now we get a bit of wood glue going on, and then we just mix in the shavings. Oops. So we're getting a sort of a putty kind of vibe going on. To be a good woodworker, it's not about never making mistakes, it's about knowing how to cover them up. Now, as we know, I'm still learning, and this is just part of the journey to figure out how thick you need to make this paste to stick in the holes there, where it needs to go exactly. Okay, so that looks really ugly for the moment, but what we'll do is we'll let that dry for a little bit and hope that it kind of dries, and so once we sand it, it doesn't have to be dry because the sawdust from sanding will help that as well. But we'll see how we get on. Let's have a little look at the other aspects. Oh, I just swept away the sawdust. Oh, you monkey. So the back, or the bottom, what I'm going to do there is I am going to, where's my pen? Simply draw around a base because I don't want it showing. I catch on one of the edges. Okay, so that's drawn that out. Now what I want to do is cut just on the outside of this, and then we really need to sneak up on it. Lost my attention for a second. I've got a bit squiffy, but never mind. Okay, so how far are we away? A little way away yet. So we can get the sander out and then just edge our way up to that line and give it some beans. We could use a shooting board, you could hand sand it, you could plane it, you could do all sorts. Well, that's quite annoying, but you know, it's not the end of the world. Get the glue in it. Right, now how far are we away from this? Oops. Right, so I reckon we've got just a little bit in this kind of area. Then we'll go across to this side and That's more like, it's a bit more extreme because it's not straight. And we're just going to keep doing that until it fits. Don't forget, it's a rustic box. Right, so we throw that out there. I am going to use super glue again, or CA glue, because why not? I think it was this way round. Right, glued and ugly. Let's get some more sanding going. Could do it by hand. I'm going to use the electric sander. Okay, so what we can see there is that the glue that we put in is not too shabby at all with the sawdust. This side could do with just a touch more, and I would do that again. But I'm just going to carry on sanding this out for a minute, and then we'll see where we're at. Right, so I've just kind of gone over the whole thing with just some 80 grit sandpaper, and you know, it's looking a bit ropey, but would it do for holding pens and pencils and stuff? Of course it would. So now what we want to do is get the top. Now what I've not thought about is how I'm going to attach the top, but we will worry about that later. What I'm going to do for now though is I'm going to leave an ever so slight overhang at the front there, and then I'm going to draw around it so we can cut this down. So I've been thinking about how to attach this lid to it, and I mean, it looks a little bit like an outhouse at the minute, to be fair, but I think I'll come up with an idea that I haven't seen anybody do. Could be wrong, there might be a reason for it, might be a load of old nonsense. So we'll get a dowel like that. Now if I was to put that dowel inside one of these pieces of wood, it would be very close to breaking out, so I'm being a little bit concerned about that. But if I put that in the corner like that, then the idea is you can just do that. Bosh, some of those apples. You could use wood glue, I suppose. Don't see any reason why you couldn't. But I am going to use CA glue for speed because I'm running out of battery on the camera. So now all I've got to do is drill a hole in the lid, and to do that I am going to measure the outside to the middle of that dowel approximately, which should be there. That's going to be in this corner. So yeah, that's like that. So that's that side done, and then centre of the dowel again from this side. Oops. You could use compass, you could measure, you could do all sorts of things. Right, and that's giving us a little cross going on right there. You may or may not be able to see. Right, so I'm going to measure how big this is, then drill a similar size hole halfway through this bit of wood, and we'll see what works. I've got to measure roughly halfway to get the right depth. It should be around about there. Some of that action. Got to wax it, but that's going to be it. We'll do that. Open it up, close it again. There's the box. It's not perfect, but it's just a scrap wood box that I made out of nothing with very few tools, and jobs are good. And I got this because it's cheap on Amazon, and I just put one of my normal little thingamajigs on there. Oh God. And there you have it. That is the box, all done and dusted. It's kind of got a rustic vibe going on, but once that dries, that should be okay. So, as I said, with this, it's not pretty, it's nothing to get super excited about, but I guarantee if you've not made a box before, just making anything in any haphazard way as you've seen today, you can get something like this, that, well, hopefully better than this, but you can get something and really, really enjoy using it, and that is going to look pretty sweet when it's all dried up. Okay? Thanks very much for watching. Let me know if you got any value from this. If you did, hit subscribe. But again, if you're a pro person, this is not a good box. We're fully aware of that, but it's a beginner box, and that's what we like. See you later.